Hello guys, so this is the first full race we really did for the Assetto Corsa League. This isn't actually race 1, this is just a test race. It's the second test race actually. The first one I qualified 3rd, but my display drivers crashed, so I really didn't get a race in that one. So this was my first one, but this is a little bit of a post commentary. You can watch other people's views for live commentary. I did not record this live because I did not have my settings down correctly. But let's get started. So basically, from the start, I qualified 5th. In front of me was Georgian, Cone Dodger, Goonses, and Sharky, and right behind me was Spooky Squid. So basically, that was kind of the starting lineup. I'm not sure what it was behind me, but basically, I took this race pretty easy. I didn't want to ruin anybody's race. I didn't want to, run people off the track, because this is really my first time racing with other people on a track. I've played this game for like 140 hours, but pretty much all of that's just been hot lapping. So I'm very new to this, so excuse my poor driving and my lack of taking chances, but let's get started. Okay, so off the line, everybody had quite a bit of wheel spin. This car was a bit of a handful to drive, especially on cold tires. But coming into the first corner, the first turn, we knew things were going to get pretty hectic, so I took it easy. I let Squid on the inside and just kind of held my line. Didn't go anything too aggressive. I just didn't want to hit anybody, run anybody off the road in these first couple turns. I know behind me a lot of stuff happened, and coming off the curb there, I got a lot of wheel spin and got pretty sideways. Luckily, I was able to save it coming into turn 5. And this pack in front of me, the Georgian, Goonses, Squid, and Cone, were all just really tight racing, and it was really interesting to watch from this point of view. Sharky out front there, he was inhuman. He was inhumanly fast, and he just took off from the start, and he was uncontested the whole race. He was ridiculous. He was consistently running like 121s. I don't know how he did it. Him and Goonses were both running 121s in practice. The fastest I ran in practice was a 22.8. And actually, I think that's also the fastest I ran in the race, one of these laps. But for the most part, I wasn't pacey enough to keep up with these. I mean, I kept up with these guys for about the first half of the race. Then you'll see later on I made a mistake and I kind of dropped off. You can see Goonses over there going off wide. I don't know what happened there, if he got ran off or if he made a mistake, but it's unfortunate for him. Coming in here, we were too wide, and I decided to concede and let Goonses go. I didn't know if he was going to try and cut to the inside or what he was going to do there, so I didn't want to risk it and run him off the track. And right here, I decided I do want to pass him, but I outbrake myself, and he obviously saw it coming and cut back to the inside and regained the position, so obviously that was just a stupid mistake by me. I really shouldn't have tried that move. I should have held my line and just kind of waited for a better opportunity to pass. For the most part, I was about a few seconds behind this group the entire race. I kept getting close to the point where, I'd be right behind them, but I tried to keep my distance, because I knew, especially Georgian and Cone there, Georgian can get a little bit of he can get a little bit touchy-feely, so I didn't want anybody to spin and take me out, so I just let them be and waited in case they spun out from behind. I could just take a position. But I actually don't think that happened during this entire race. At least in front of me, I don't think anybody spun. Unfortunately, Georgian set his fuel to the same amount of fuel he had in qualifying, so I think lap 3 or 4 he had to go into the pits, which is unfortunate for him. Although after he did make his way back up to 6th position, I believe, by the end of the race, which was pretty incredible by him. I mean, he is fast, and actually I think all these guys in front of me play iRacing, so they have a lot more experience than me, that's for sure. So I'm just happy that I was able to keep up with them for the most part. Cone and Goonses obviously broke away later in the race because they're ridiculously good. I kept up with Squid for quite a while, up until I think lap 7. made a mistake and pushed me back, and I was down like 10 seconds from him the rest of the race, which was unfortunate, but that's just kind of how it is. As you can see, Sharky was just way up there. He's just taking the lead. Doesn't help that the four of them, the second through fifth place, was all racing really hard, so he had a chance to get away. And as you can see there, Georgian goes into the pits to refuel. So unfortunately, that's the last we see of him this race. Actually, he did finish right behind me. I finished 5th, which was also the position I qualified in. I think I was going to qualify in 8th, or 7th or 8th, until my last qualifying lap was blazing fast, and I was able to push up to 5th for qualifying. And right there, I just ran a 1:22.8, and that was the fastest lap I ran this race in particular. And right here, I believe, was where they were. Was this where? No. Sorry. No, Georgian had already turned off. I must have missed it, but into this turn 3. Georgian, Conan's, Squid were all 3 wide into turn 3, and Guntz's was right behind, getting ready to push. And it was quite the sight. It was pretty awesome. There's actually a pretty awesome picture. If I can find it, I might put it right here in the video, because it's pretty cool picture that they posted on the Discord chat of all 3 of them, 3 wide, and Goose is right behind. And then you can see me slightly farther behind, peeking through the gap. It was actually a really good picture. This corner, I was a little bit more conservative than a lot of people. A lot of people came in a little bit faster and ended up getting the back end of this car slipping out on them. And if you could hold that, you could actually get a bit of drifting, I guess, and still make it through the corner pretty fast. This car was inevitable to get the back end out on this car. It was very slippery, very slippery rear end. It's fun to drive though. It took a while to get used to it. I probably practiced for about 120 laps in this track. I mean, it wasn't even for this track, it was just for this car that I had to practice so much. Because I mean, I know Silverstone International like the back of my hands. Oh, right there you see Squid and Goons has got a little bit of contact, but luckily nothing bad happened between them. And right here, I try and hold my inside line, and Squid luckily sees me and doesn't cut me off. I don't know if I almost messed him up there or not, but yeah, it was a pretty awesome race for the most part, especially up here in the beginning. It was just really entertaining. And I also heard in the back, everybody was saying it was also a really entertaining race in the back farther. There was a pretty big gap between 5th and 6th place, and I think 6th and 7th, and then there was another large group behind 7th, I believe. I don't remember who was behind me at this point in 6th place. I think it might have been 25. I don't know who that is. That's just what their player name was in the game, was 25. So whoever that is, they were trailing behind me. And right here, I was able, because these 3 in front of me were racing each other for pretty much this entirety of the race, I was able to catch back up, anytime I got further behind, anytime I made a mistake, which was pretty awesome, because I really was excited to be following these guys, because they're really good drivers and learn a lot from them, that's for sure. They have a lot more experience than I do. Right here, Squid takes a pretty hefty cut, and I follow him right there with it. I don't take that line normally. I take a little bit more. I mean, I still try and hit the turf on the inside, but not that much for sure. But I was just following his line and ended up doing the same. Luckily, this track is pretty lenient on corner cutting. You can cut pretty harsh before you get a penalty, at least in races. I'm not sure if that would have flown in qualifying. For some reason, the cut detection in races and qualifying is a little bit different, so I'm not sure exactly how it works in races, only in qualifying, but that was a pretty big cut by both of us there. And then coming into this turn, Squid gets a little bit too fast into the entry, and he gets his back end out a little bit, and I'm able to make up a little bit of time there, catch back up to him. At this point, Goonses and Cone are up there racing each other, and there's a little bit of gap between him and Squid and I. And Squid there runs off. He outbrakes himself, but he's fine. He didn't spin there. It's pretty easy to spin once you get off the track right there if you're not careful, so he held his line pretty well. all things considering. And right here, I was torn. I was trying to decide if I could make a move or anything. I think I was too far back though, so I just held the line. And coming up right here is, you can see where I made the mistake. I cut to the inside and dive in and outbrake myself, and then hit the inside curb, giving him a nice tap, pushing him wide. He didn't lose much time, fortunately for him, but I almost spun out completely, and I lost quite a bit of time. And here you can see I sped up the video just because from this point on in the race there wasn't a whole lot interesting going on. It was all pretty much this way for me. I was about 4 seconds behind, I think, at this point, and by the end of the race, it was a 15-lap race. By the end of the race, I was full 10 seconds behind, I believe, 10 or 15 seconds behind Squid. So I was pretty much alone for the rest of this race, aside from passing some lap traffic, because some people in the back had accidents causing them to get off, and some people actually just could not. Like, some people just had a hard time driving this car, which I do not blame them. This is not an easy car to drive. It gets its back end going way too easily. It'll slip out on you no matter how careful you are. It was still fun to drive though. It was a challenge to learn, but it wasn't as bad as something like the Evora that we ran the first test race with. I liked it, but on cold tires, that thing did nothing but go in a straight line. Like, you couldn't even make turn 1 at Mugello, like, going 40 miles an hour. You would just understeer right off the track. It was absolutely absurd. As you can see here, and Vidal, I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if because he seems like he was pretty fast. I don't know if he just couldn't keep control of the car, or if he got spun, or what happened, but that's the first lap traffic I see, and I pass him. And there's a bit more coming up in the last few laps. I believe we'll see it up here, I think. I don't know if we'll see it in a whole lot of detail, but right there, that's too fast. I can put it back in editing, but Les Cubes had the best track entry ever. He hit the curb perpendicular at like 22 miles an hour and straight up Dukes of Hazzard, like 5 feet in the air. It was pretty spectacular. Some other car we passed, lap traffic, ran off the road. Powers right there, he ran a little bit wide and conceded his position. Well, I mean, not conceded his position, but let me pass. So some people were struggling for sure with this car. But I think everybody had fun. This is it's more casual league. It's not supposed to be super competitive and super serious like iRacing is, and this is why I joined it, because I really enjoy Assetto Corsa, but I am nowhere near serious or good enough to fork out the money for something like iRacing, and I don't have the time for that either, being a college student. So this is an awesome series. I'm really glad that Cone started this, and it's a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to future seasons, in future months when we potentially start team racing. That could be really interesting and really fun. And overall, I think I had about this was a pretty good race for me, I think. Much better than I was expecting to do. And I think I was about an average pace of 120, upper 123s to low 124s. So that was about what I was running. If I could have been running 122s consistently, or even low 123s, I think I probably could have caught back up to Squid. But for the most part, he was gone once I sideswiped him on turn 3, which was unfortunate, but didn't seem to mess him up, because I believe he did catch back up to Cone and was racing Cone for a while there. And here's just the end of the last lap. We pass Sporkerism, I believe this is. I don't know if that's how you say his name, but actually we don't pass him before the end of the race. But yep, that was the end of the race. Finished 5th place, and it was overall really, really good fun. So thank you guys for watching, and next race, I'm not sure when it is, but it will be a live commentary this time, and you'll be able to hear the guys chatting in the Discord server. So thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.